Welcome to my work solutions for the Eduqas paper. It's Foundation, it's the November 2023 series. They call it Component 2, which means Paper 2 and Calcs Allowed. Let's get on with it. From the table, it's all about picking the right thing at the right time. Use your highlighter pens, those of you that get nagged for that, or underline, or just make sure you indicate somehow that you're picking the right one at the right time. Wants to post 1 second class small letter. There we go. And 1 first class parcel. However you write it down in pounds or pence, just make sure when you type it in, you either work in pounds or pence. It'll either be 513 pence. I did it in pounds. There we go, £5.13. How much less? You're finding the difference? We're going to subtract. How much less does it cost to post 3 large letters? There's a large letter. Oops. We'd best times it by 3. I get £3.15. Than to post 3 large letters. We are now going to times £1.45 by 3. Now, obviously, you could have found the difference and multiplied that by 3. But hey, shortcuts are only short if you spot them straight away. Do a subtraction, find the difference, £1.20 or 121 pence. Gareth spent that much posting large letters first class, so he's on the 145 as well. How many letters did he post? We're working backwards. This is a divide. Divide the amount he paid by £1.45. You can tell he posted 11. On to Lee. Lee's got £3.50. Does he have enough to post 5 small letters? Now, as you can see, if you did 5 times the 95 pence, it goes into £4 odd. So no, if he went first class. But give a reason for your answer. Yes, because if he picks second class, it's just 5 times 68 pence. So wording along the lines of, if he posts second class, he'll have 10 pence spare, or just, as you've seen there, do 5 times 68. Yes, he's got enough. Or again, say, not if he went first class, but yes, to second. Shape A is shown on the grid. Obviously, I've already drawn it, but it says area. You can do it by counting, feel free, or by chopping it into 2 parts. It doesn't matter. 21 for the big rectangle, 4 for the small square there. Total area of 25. So there's only one answer for this. You're asked to draw a square anywhere on the grid. It has to be a 5 by 5. Whereas for the next bit, there's loads of answers. Part B says, I'm staying on this page, Part B says, work out the perimeter of shape A. Now, don't be one of those people who counts the squares around. That's not the way to do it, because you'll always end up with extra bits. For example, there. Count the lines. That's 3. That's going to give you 5. There's a 2 and another 2. There's a 5 along the bottom. There's a 7 along the side. In any order, just don't count numbers twice. You'll notice I started in the top left. That's how I always do it. Make sure you've got a system that works. You don't want to be including numbers twice. Answer. Get them in your calc. Don't trust your mental arithmetic. Your brain can do daft things in exams. Use your calc. Whoops, it's centimetres, not metres. But by the way, they're not bothered about the units. They're all in brackets on the mark scheme, so they're not bothered. On the grid, draw a rectangle with the same perimeter. I've drawn an 8 by 4, because if you do 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4, you get 24. So unlike Part A, there's multiple answers for this, as long as your pairs of sides add up to 12. So obviously 10 and 2 would have worked, and so on. As long as they add up to 12, where you double it to get the 24. 3A, writing in digits. 6 million, just start with a 6. Millions have a comma, but they're not that necessary. 520,000. And that's your lot. Break it down one bit at a time. To shade 3/5 of a shape, that means shade 3 out of every 5. If you count them up, there happens to be 10 sections. So you either shade in 3 out of, because if you chop it in half, you've got 5. Shade 3 of the top 5, 3 of the bottom 5, there you go. Or just shade in any 6. However you shade them in, it doesn't matter. As long as there are 6 slices shaded in, you're good. Part C, big maths question really. You're trying to rewrite that, play around with it. The idea being the only way you can make 8 with those numbers is if you have 4 plus 4. How do you get the original 4? 24 divided by 6. Bidmass means the division would come first. That gives you 4. And you've got a plus 4 left to give you 8. Rounding, part D. If you're rounding to the nearest 10, identify the tens column. In this case, it's an 8. Do we need to change the 8? It's decided by the digit after it. With a 5 or above, it would round up. So not today. I don't like the phrase round down. I prefer levels off. You basically leave it alone if it's a 0 to 4. Sorry, if the digit after it is a 0 to 4. Correct the nearest 1,000. Identify your thousands column. Units, tens, hundreds. It's the 5, which refers to 5,000. So the only question is, are we leaving the 5 alone, or are we going up to a 6? The answer is, we're going up to a 6, because the digit after it is a 7, which is a 5 or above, so up it goes. Make sure you have the zeros as required. On we go. 2 fair spinners. Lots of waffle on this. Ultimately, that's what we care about. Spinner A landing on a circle. 4 of them are circles out of 8. That's chance of a half, 50-50, whatever you want to call it. It's an even chance. Spinner B on a square. There's no squares. Can't happen. Impossible. Part B. Spinner B is spun once. Probability it lands on a star. Back up here, there are 6 stars out of 8 sectors. It's 6 out of 8, and hopefully they've chopped it up into 8s. So that one would be 7/8, and that's the one you want for your mark. That's the arrow on 6/8. I'm scrolling it off because it's a different spinner now. The probability that spinner C lands on a star, what's the probability? Does not. 1 minus. You could use your calc, or you might just know. Therefore, the numerators, the 3 and the 13, must add up to 16. Number 5, quite a strange one. Quite strange to have a straight angle, also known as a straight line. The idea being 3x must be worth 180 degrees. Find the value of x. Divide both sides by 3. Either do it mentally or on your calc. It's 60. Same kind of logic for part B. They've put a right angle which means 90. All the way around is 360. So you do 360, take away 90, and they're equal. But you're asked for the value of y. You need to divide by 5. 270, divide it by 5. You should get 54. Onwards. Yep, I've cheated a bit. Don't trust myself with technology. ABCD is a kite. One thing you must know about a kite, it's got one line of symmetry. Right down the middle. And if you want to go a little bit further, adjacent sides like that, they are equal in length, therefore, so they're the same as well. That's what separates it from other shapes, which might have one line of symmetry, for example, an isosceles trapezium, and so on. But a kite is the one that we're after here, which means A to C will be the line of symmetry. B is 2 squares away. The other vertex, D, should be 2 squares away on the other side. Part B wants us to write the coordinates of that down. It's 1 to the right of the origin, 4 up. And then we reflect it. That's what I've done in green. Reflect it in the x-axis. Do it as a posh dot to dot. The vertex C is 1 above. Its reflection is 1 below. B is 4 above. We go 4 below. D is 4 above. We go 4 below. And A is 5 above. We go 5 below. You grab a ruler, join them up, and you're done. Question 7. Very complex graph going on there. Just soak it up for a sec, but it is just reading information. Okay. The best thing is, don't overcomplicate. Don't read every bit of data. Just mentally note the shaded in, the bar chart is temperature. The line graph, or if you want to call it the frequency polygon, is the rainfall. Which month has the highest rainfall? We're looking at the lines. That's the line which is the highest. That refers to November. Then it says, calculate the difference in average maximum daily temperature. We are looking at the bars. Maximum, that bar's up here. Go along. Each little vertical notch is 2, so that is 34. We now scroll across looking for the lowest. You can see it's January down there. Difference, subtract, answer 22. I'll scroll down a little bit so we can see about Courtney going to Greece. The reason for my green line is she does not want the average maximum temperature to go over 30. So any grey blocks above, she's not interested. So July and August are out. Which month would be the most suitable? But she wants as little rain as possible. So as you can see, August would have been in the running, but it's not now. July would have been, but it's not. It's the next one up. June has the 3rd lowest average rainfall, and its temperature average is under 30. In it goes. Courtney's going in June. And finally, it's kind of related, but not really. It is substitution and either BidMass or stick it into a calculator. Use the formula to convert the temperature of 25 degrees Celsius into Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is given by 1.8 times Celsius added to 32. Press the buttons on your calc. Calculator will helpfully follow BidMass by doing the multiplication first and should give you 77 for the answer. Number 8. We've got cereal bars and we've got cans or bottles, sorry. Each cereal bar, they're all identical. Not cheaper, not on offer, not different brands. It's Louise I'm interested in because she's only buying cereal bars. They're all the same. So one cereal bar is equal to the cost of £5 divided by how many she buys, 4. Your calc might say 5/4 really means 1 1/4, but if you're doing a money question, use your SD button to convert it to decimals. Each cereal bar, £1.25. You can now insert that information to Alex. Alex is buying the cereal bar and the 3 bottles. We can make the statement that the 3 bottles would cost £5.60, but minus the cost of the cereal bar. And we get a nice equation. Again, grab your calc, divide both sides by 3. You should find out that the drink, the bottle, is £1.45, and the cereal bar we already knew. Let's just put it in there to keep the examiner happy, and we're done. Number 9. Kind of flowcharts, kind of number machines really. Hamza is a junior sales assistant, worked for 25 hours. Stop. The input is 25. He's a junior sales assistant. We're multiplying by the hourly rate of £10.42. Stick that in your calc. You should get £260.50. But then we add on his bonus of 80. Total wage, 340.5, but it's cash. Stick a nought on. Mark schemes don't seem to care about the nought as much as I do, but there you go. We've got Julie. She is senior. So we're going to be looking at £11.50 per hour for her. But it's working backwards. This time we're told her total wage and her bonus. It's 271. We need to subtract the bonus. That means she's getting £207 from the rest of her earnings. How many hours did she work? We need to divide it by the amount per hour. And you get the reassuringly nice round answer of 18 hours. There we go. Jared won 3,000. We're starting to get, first proper wordy question, but one thing at a time. He won 3,000. He spent 500. Stop. That means he's down to £2,500 and gave 37% of. Percent means out of 100. Of means times his 2,500 remaining pounds. 925 goes to charity. This was shared equally between 5 different charities. Divide it by 5, £185. We don't need that info for part B. Jared saves 600 out of the 3,000. Firstly, write it as a fraction. How do you convert fractions to percentages when you've got a calc? It's obviously a different technique. When you haven't, you just times it by 100. Yeah, you could cancel some zeros out, but your calc will do that for you. 20%. That's how much Jared saves. On to some algebra. When you're simplifying, you only collect like terms. So I always say to my students, Read across, but only pay attention to the A's. You've got A plus 5A. Now read across again, but only pay attention to the B's. 7B, take away 9. 7 take away 9. You go down to minus 2B. 1 mark for each term. We're dividing. I always say do the numbers first. 6 divided by 2 is 3. W divided by W. Now divide. If this was written as a fraction, that's another way of doing it. The W's would cancel. So you don't need W divided by W is 1. Starts looking like 31 or 3 times 1. Why bother? They cancel. So worth 1 mark. The answer is 3. Amanda buys 5 bags of apples. Each bag contains N apples, but she gives 2 away from each bag. There you go. It's easy to think the answer is that. I'm afraid not. If you're buying 5 bags and you give away 2 in each bag, you will end up giving away 10. So it's not the same. Whereas here, if you expanded the brackets, it is. And by the way, the mark scheme accepts either of those as the correct answer. So don't worry about that. Number 12. Oh, an essay. Like being in an English literature exam. Anyway, you've got a massive essay. All right. Here's the bits you care about. This family are going on holiday for 7 days. The package deal is basically £2,300 and that's it. That's all you pay. It's the pay separately, really, that we're interested in. We'll come back to that. Down here, on the holiday, there will be 2 adults, 2 children. The children are 8 and 1. Here's the deal. It's free for children under 2. In other words, when we're looking at the cost, we're not really bothered about the 1-year-old. Doesn't count when it comes to the cost. We're only looking at 3. Okay, so return flights, 352 per person. There's 3 people that are going to pay. That's 1,056. Accommodation is £43 per person per day. Again, the 1-year-old is not paying. 903. The food is £85 per person, and that covers the 7 days. No need to times that by 7. Total, if you pay separately, £2,214, which, as you can see, is cheaper. That's why they should opt for paying separately. On we go. And by the way, you don't need any more waffle down the bottom. Once you've got the total cost, saying it's less than 2,300, you're done. Number 13, you don't need all the lines. Be systematic. That's all the possibilities with 3 heads. Let's introduce 1 tail. But this coin 2 could be the tail. The coin 1 could be the tail. Now let's do 2 tails. Could be there. Could be there. Could be there. Let's fill in the heads. Could also, though, be all tails. Now don't forget, you can check in advance. 2 possibilities times 2 possibilities times 2 possibilities means you should have been looking at 8 potential outcomes. So you should be thinking, I've got 8 now, I'm happy, I can move on. But that number 8 also gives you a clue down here. What's the probability of 3 heads? Only one of the lines out of 8 different possibilities. Part B. When 4 fair coins are thrown at the same time, okay, the probability that the outcome is 2 of each is 0.375. If the same 4 coins are thrown, this one, believe it or not, is easier than you think. You've got the probability of something happening, the number of times you're doing the experiment, and if you're asked for expected outcomes, it's multiply. Calc should say 51. On we go. Number 14, wordy waffle. Again, like always, one line at a time. Top line tells you nothing. In the first week, the family used 56 units. So let's look at electricity. Then we'll look at gas. 56 units of electricity, 245 units of gas. The cost of electric is 32 pence. Let's get multiplying. The total cost is, and I'll turn it into pence, the total cost is 3,997 pence. So our job is to work backwards. Firstly, do a subtraction. We know the total cost. We know the cost of electric. If you subtract them, you get the cost of gas. If you take the total cost of gas divided by the number of units we use, you get a reassuringly nice looking 9 pence per unit. More waffle. We're into June. They use, again, they're looking at electricity, and there's gas. They use 210 units. 210. The cost is 32 pence. Let's multiply. Don't read on. Get your answer. Start picking up the marks. 6,720 pence. They pay a fixed charge of 28 pence per day. I expected gas. We're not doing gas. We're looking at standard charge. Standard charge is 28 pence a day. There's 30 days in June. That will cost them 840 pence. Their total becomes 7,560 pence before tax. We then need to add on value-added tax at 5%. The best way with a calculator to increase something by 5% is to use a multiplier. Multiply it by 1.05. If you don't like multipliers, takes a lot longer. Yeah, you could find 10%, halve it for 5% and add it on. Of course you could, but there you go. Spits out 7,938 pence, or £79.38 is just as good. For number 15, I've cheated, as you can see that green line's already on there, because again, I don't trust myself with technology. Always bound to end up in tears. You've got Rhiannon cycling home, you've got your old distance and time graph, as you can see. Now the main thing is, you've got time horizontally. Just be careful in terms of how many squares means how much, because it's very easy to get caught out here. Okay, what's going on is you've got 10 little baby squares spanning 30 minutes. So each little baby square accounts for 3 minutes, That means there's 6 there, and that line is actually 24 minutes. And that is how you answer part A. How long did she stop to repair the puncture? It's because it's 8 little baby squares. Means she stopped for 24 minutes. On average, she was travelling faster before than after. Without calculating, explain how you can tell. Hopefully you can spot it's much steeper before than after. So anything which refers to either the steepness or the gradient of the line being steeper before and less steep or shallower afterwards. On we go. Question C. You've now got to put this on the graph. Now the key takeaway for me is she finishes 5 miles from home and took 45 minutes. If she finishes 5 miles from home, she's going to be travelling from 15 down to 5. She's travelling 10. That's that distance there. I'm saying that because you're going to need this bit shortly. You're going to need to realise that what we've already said, each little square is 3. So for 45 minutes, you need to count 15 squares along there to get to the end point. Or in other words, one big one and half a big one. And that's where you join them up. Part I. To calculate average speed, you should always be thinking distance, speed, and time. If you want to work out speed, it's distance, which is 10, divided by time. Don't put 45 into your calculator. 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour. So either put in 3/4 or the decimal equivalent 0.75. You get the weird answer, but it is correct, of 13.3 miles per hour. Next. For obvious reasons, yeah, I've cheated. It's bearings and I can't do angles on my electronic little whiteboardy thing. Measure and write down the bearing. Now, when you're doing bearings, the word from is the most important because the idea is from means you are at the park entrance. You stood here. It's bearings, which means you're facing north. Measure and write down the bearing of reception. All bearings are measured clockwise from north. So as you can see, you are needing that very, very large reflex angle over there. Now, if you've got an angle measurer for 360, you can measure it. If, like most of you, I'm sure, you've got a protractor, that means measure the little baby one. You get 30 and take it away from 360. Mark schemes, as always, allow 2 degrees either way for error. Part B. Camping at a holiday park tends on a bearing of 25 degrees from the park entrance. We go back to facing north. We measure 25 degrees clockwise, and you don't know how long a line to draw, so just go right to the end of the map. Go right to the edge. And 280 from the park exit. From means you're at the park exit. And again, if you've got an angle measurer, measure the 280. Great. If you haven't, instead of going 280 clockwise, you need to measure 80, because then they add up to 360, 80 anti-clockwise, and you draw your line. As you can see, there's my notch. There's my other notch, by the way. Draw it long enough so you can see where they intersect. mark with a T, and that's where Mia's tent is on the map. Venn diagrams. Never rush these, one at a time. Just read through the list, tick them off as you go. 4, if you need to, by the way, feel free to list square numbers, list a few, list the factors of 20, and so on. What we got? 9 4s. We need 12 3s, 24 2s. List them just in case you do forget. Best to list them in pairs, by the way. But anyway, 4 appears in both. It's both a square number and a fact. In fact, here's the square numbers, which are factors of 36. So if you need to, there you go. You've got a 9. That's also in both. We've got a 12. That's just in the factors. We have an 18. Also just in the factors. We have a 23. Doesn't fall in either. Nor does 32. Nor does 50. 64 is a square number though. And 72 isn't either. That's just testing you because 72 is a multiple of 36. It is not a factor. A number is selected at random. Find the probability it is a factor of 36. So that's them, but not a square number. Those two. They are the factors of 36, which are not square numbers. There's 2 of them out of 9 numbers we've put in the grid, in the Venn diagram. Number 18, yep, more cheating from me. But that's for part B. Describe fully the single transformation. We're going from A to B. It's turned round. You must state the obvious, that it's a rotation. It's going for me a quarter of a turn, but you can't say quarter turn. You've got to use proper maths. 90 degrees clockwise. Now you could go 270 anti-clockwise as well. Mark scheme allows both, but you must also state the centre is 0, 0. Now some people, they're good at spotting them, by the way. If not, get your hand up in an exam for some tracing paper, trace shape A, and just trial and error it. Always guess the origin though. Always guess 0, 0. It's not always the answer, but it is a very common answer. Part B. When you see a vector, I'll scroll down. What does a vector like that mean? The top number moves it left and right. The bottom is up and down. Negatives mean left and down. So a -3 on top means left 3. A +2 on the bottom means up 2. Back to the diagram. Take each vertex and count left 3. 1, 2, 3. Up 2. Left 3. Up 2. Left 3. Up 2. Then, once you've plotted them all, grab your ruler, push dot to dot, join them all up. Number 19, bit wordy. I always like to go flour, butter, sugar, 4 to 3 to 2, just in case it means I've got easy access to which number refers to which ingredient. Fraction of shortbread biscuit is made up of sugar. Sugar has a 2 next to it. Add them all up. 9 shares. We're done. 1,400 grams of flour. Stop. And I can line it up. I look for my multiplier. To find a multiplier, do a divide. 1400 divided by 4. My multiplier is 350. How many grams of butter is used? 3 times 350. Job done. And I know some of you, by the way, will have connected them. Just divided by 4 and times by 3. That also works, but again, a shortcut's not really a shortcut if you don't spot it straight away. Number 20. Lucy's bought a car. That's your capital. 12,250. If you depreciate by 18%, your multiplier is 0.82. I always think of it as take 18 pence off a pound and you'll get 82 pence left. Now, on a previous question, you could have avoided using multipliers and just done 10% and 2%. Now, for this question, that won't cut it because that's 1 year. You've now got to reduce it by 15%. Your multiplier is 0.85 this time. We've done one of the 9 years. There's 8 years left. Her car is now worth, and I'll round it off to the nearest pence because it's cash, £2,737.17. So if you don't like your multipliers, I'm afraid you won't get any more than 1 mark for this. Because yeah, you might have found 10%, but doing any more, you're going to be there all day. Don't celebrate yet though. It doesn't ask you for the value of her car. It says how much has it decreased by. You need to subtract original price minus final price tells you the total price, total value it's lost, £9,512.83. On we go. Typical calc question here. Regan caught 70 fish. We always need that 70 because when you're estimating the mean, the last thing you do is divide by how many there are. But before we get to there, you need to multiply by all of your frequencies. But there's the question. Multiply what? 60 or 65? Neither. This is that question where we need the midpoints. Add them together and halve it. Add them together and halve it. And yet, they're pretty uniform. You can just go up in 5s. Now we need to times. Take each of your midpoints and multiply them by the frequencies. Hopefully your numbers agree with mine. 1147.5, 1667.5, 775, and the last one was just a times 1. Take a breath. You need your total. Some teachers refer to it as sigma, because that's the sum function on a spreadsheet. Add them all up, 4,860. Now we divide by 70. I've rounded off to 2 decimal places. You could have gone for 1 or whatever. Mark scheme is not bothered, but I wouldn't have gone to 69 if I'm honest. At least 1 decimal place for me. Regan thinks the median, now the middle of 70 fish. If you want to be technical about it, the halfway point is just slightly above the 35th fish. It's the 35th fish, to be precise. But at the end of the day, the top 2 groups contain 36 fish. So whether you worry about the 35th fish or the 35.5th fish, I'm afraid Regan is wrong. because the 35th fish is in the group before the one he thinks. It's in the 65 to 70 group, not the 70 to 75 group. Number 20. Jan's about to cut a load of circles out of a piece of card. Those circles have a diameter of 12. So the question is, horizontally, how many 12s will fit in to 96? Do a divide, you'll get 8. Now, if the diameter is 12 across, the diameter is also 12 from top to bottom. So, same question. How many 12s fit into 60? The answer is 5. So she can cut 8 times 5. 8 rows of 5, 5 columns of 8, however you want to think about it, no one cares. It's 8 times 5. On we go. What area of card is left over? Follow the process. Well, how much card did she have to begin with? She had 96 centimetres by 60 centimetres. In total, she had 5,760 centimetres squared. The circles, there's 40 of them. The area of one circle is pi multiplied by the radius squared. If your calc is like mine, it'll keep it in terms of pi. If it does decimals, no one cares. You just need to subtract them. Do a big takeaway. 1,236.1 centimetres squared left over, and the mark scheme typically allows a bit either way, 0.5 up to 1,238.4 inclusive, because you might have rounded off at some point in your question. But there we go. On to question 23, some algebra. When you're expanding, you could do a grid. You might do loops. You do whatever works. I'll do loops. X squared, x times 7, 3 times x, 3 times 7. If you did a grid, these would be what's in each of your squares, or rectangles, whatever, who cares. But it needs to be simplified. X squareds, your x terms, it's all positive, add to make 10. And there we go. It's been simplified. What am I doing? Come on, Al. 7 times 3 obviously is 21. Oh dear. There we go. No one saw it. Move on. Let's get rid of it. Move on. We've got to solve. You've got more x's on the left-hand side. I'm going to subtract the fewest number of x's, get it to 0 by taking away 4x from both sides. And then also going to subtract 6 from both sides before dividing both sides by 3. The answer is not 0.3, by the way. You could do 0.3 recurring, but not 0.3. So a third or 0.3 recurring. Part C could be tricky because 400 is maybe a square number you've seen before, but not necessarily. This is one called difference of two squares. If you have a square thing minus a square thing, you square root and you square root. You either spot them or you don't. It's either a mark you get or you don't. Solving simultaneous equations, I'm going to save a bit of space. I think it's easiest to treble the bottom equation. we get 3x, 3y and 9. I've got negative 3y on the top, positive 3y on the bottom. I'm sure your teachers have said same sign, subtract. Well, these are different signs. We add 10x's. The y's cancel out. If you know what 10x is, you find the value of 1x by dividing by 10. Take that, I'm going to use the original equation, which I could still just about see. X plus y equals 3. We now know what x is, plus the y equals 3. Take away 3.5 from both sides. It's a strange answer, but it's a correct answer. Negative 0.5. Number 24. It's all about scale factor. If they are similar, there is a multiplier or a divide, depends on which way around you want to go. The side we have in common is the left-hand side. Best to work out a multiplier by doing a divide. 10.4 divided by 15.6. I get the multiplier of 2/3. So when we're getting smaller, we're multiplying by 2/3 to find t. 19.5 times 2/3 gives me t. On my calc, that gives me 13. To work backwards in the opposite direction, I need to do 7.6 divided by 2/3 to get my r. But it works out nice. It's 11.4. And finally, we've got the angle of depression, 48 degrees. When you are doing trigonometry, SOHCAHTOA, we're not interested in angles which are outside. We're only interested in angles which are inside. Subtract the 48 to get 42, or a bit harder to spot, you might have done alternate angles are equal. So you could work off the 48. That will obviously change the way you calculate things, but you should still get the same answer I get. But I'm ignoring the 48 now. I'm looking at my 42. There's the hypotenuse. 800 is the adjacent. The opposite is that distance there. Vaughan cycles down the hypotenuse. I want the hypotenuse. The opposite is no use. This is a question. If I want the hypotenuse, I need to do adjacent, which is 800, divided by c, which stands for cos of the angle I'm working from. All that will spit out 1076.506 feet. But there we go. I'll just go to 0.5. State an assumption. I've given a clue away. Notice I drew a little green line on, because when you do the trigonometry, it just assumes it's a straight line. Vaughan, as he cycles from top to bottom, he could be zigzagging around. He could be going down little ditches like that. Lots of stuff could be going on, and that is what gives you the answers to part B. State an assumption you've made. Anything along the lines of, we've assumed Vaughan cycles in a straight line, or there's no bumps, there's no curves, and so on and so forth. It's only one mark. Just say one thing, don't waffle. If your assumption is not correct, I mean, we can pretty much guarantee it's not. what effect would it have? Well, if he's not able to cycle in a straight line, if there is indeed some zigzagging, it's going to take him longer to cycle down. But what effect is that going to have on there? He's going to have cycled further. He's going to need to cycle a longer distance to finish the race, to get to the bottom of the track. Again, words to that effect. Don't overcomplicate. Only worth 1 mark. But there we go. Take a deep breath. As always with Eduqas papers, not the worst paper in the world, but certainly as wordy as they could possibly make it. Just don't let the words put you off. And the maths isn't the worst. It's not the worst paper you'll ever see, but you can get bogged down. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm off to do a higher paper. Lucky me. Hope that's helped. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.